Hello and welcome to our Albuquerque Federal Clean Car Standards virtual press conference. Wonderful to have everyone today. We want to give a quick overview of our agenda. We'll have 2 to 3 minutes of formal remarks from each of our speakers who will be visible and audible via their video. I should note that we are currently live streaming the event on Moms Clean Air Force Facebook page, and we will also have a recording of the event available afterwards. At the end of the formal remarks, we'll have a brief session for questions related to today's event, and members of the media will be able to raise their hand or use the chat function to indicate if they have a question. I now want to introduce Councilor Borrego, District 5. Councilor, the microphone is yours.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having us and hosting Albuquerque this morning. We're very proud in Albuquerque to be a part of this clean vehicle campaign across the country. And with me today, I have some other counselors that are going to also be speaking on behalf of the city of Albuquerque, but more importantly, on behalf of the Clean Campaign. So I am the president of the Albuquerque City Council, and I just want to tell you very briefly a little bit about some of the things, the actions that we've taken in Albuquerque to promote clean and green campaign. In 2021, the Albuquerque City Council adopted the Climate Action Plan in conjunction with the mayor's office. And we're very excited about this new campaign that we've launched in Albuquerque. I will tell you that what we are looking to do is to shift all eligible vehicles to electric hybrid and alternative low emissions fuels. And as you all know, it's important to our environment, and Albuquerque has been one of those cities that is very concerned about our environment, because probably about 20 years ago, we were in violation of our emissions levels. So it's really important to us now that we reduce carbon emissions, and in an effort to save taxpayer money and improve fuel efficiency. So the other thing that we have done is we have looked at hybrid vehicles, at purchasing hybrid vehicles, and reduce our dependence on petroleum, reduce harmful tailpipe emissions, reduce ground level ozone, improve community health outcomes, and be in compliance with the Clean Air Act. And just for the record, when we were in violation, I was actually working for the city of Albuquerque. The other thing that the city of Albuquerque has done is we have spent about approximately $2.78 million in federal funding that we received to change our bus service to more of an electric bus fleet. And so that's really important to Albuquerque as well, as we work on our bus system. And we are, as a city council, working on improving our bus system throughout Albuquerque. The new buses that we are looking, that have come into us, are 5 electric buses. And we were happy to receive these buses, but we are looking to change all of our fleet in the coming years. So those are my comments for now, and I look forward to this clean air campaign, and that we can promote this across the country and hopefully be a leader in this sustainability.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now I want to introduce Lan Sena, Albuquerque City Councilor, District 1.
Thank you so much for that. Again, my name is Lan Sena. I'm the City Councilor for District 1 here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. One thing that we are really thinking through as a city, as a state, and as a nation is really how we can impact our communities. And one way is to really specifically address our clean air and how we have to have clean car standards to protect our public health. One thing that that gets impacted first and primarily is communities of color, they are the number one that really receives the impacts of the climate crisis that we're navigating currently and really trying to push forward. And also on top of that, we have to really think of the public health issues that are ongoing. And as we have a discussion nationally when it comes to infrastructure, clean car standards is something that we also should be pushing forward for. So I also urge our governor, Michelle Lujan-Grisham, to really become part of the 177 states. And I want to thank her and her leadership of really supporting the Energy Transition Act and moving forward, moving away from fossil fuels, and really also urging our federal delegation to also pass these standards as we're having these conversations. As stated, when it comes to our infrastructure, it's something else that we really need to do throughout the state and throughout the nation. So what we've been doing and how it impacts us locally in Albuquerque, and how we have become champions, but how we also need to have support, not just from our governor, but from our federal delegations, is even though we have utilized federal grants and even class action lawsuit funds to put in more electric vehicle charging stations throughout the city and leading the nation when it comes to even our own public transit shifting more towards electric, we need to have additional support, whether it's through funding, whether it's also through these standards, and how that really helps motivate us and improves our public safety. So something that we've of course been talking about throughout the last 2 years is how the health and well-being of one individual can certainly impact us all through the pandemic. So when we talk about public health and these clean air standards and how it's important, as even through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and these added standards can really improve the health and well-being of our communities, whether it's through one individual or through us all. So really urging our governor to adopt these standards to become one of the 177 states, and also our federal Senate delegation to also look at these standards and adopt them as well. So to also hear from a more local community advocate perspective is Solera Hughes, the project manager for Mom's Clean Air Force.
Hi, thank you so much, Councilor Borrego and Councilor Sena. I appreciate your words and all that you've done to move Albuquerque forward. My name is Solera Hughes, and I'm a project manager with Mom's Clean Air Force, and I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I grew up, and I'm now raising my daughter. New Mexico is often known for its beautiful skies and outdoor spaces, but Albuquerque continues to receive failing ozone grades from the American Lung Association's State of the Air report, in large part because of vehicle pollution. But the air pollution from cars goes way past ground level ozone. The transportation sector is the largest source of carbon pollution in the United States, with greenhouse gas emissions from passenger cars and light trucks accounting for 17% of US climate pollution. Cleaning up vehicle pollution is one of the most important things we can do to fight climate change. Today, we're calling on Senators Heinrich and Lujan to support the strongest federal clean car standards possible from the US Environmental Protection Agency and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We're also asking Governor Lujan-Grisham to take action by setting aggressive state-level standards to curb vehicle emissions. Climate change is greatly impacting New Mexico and the Southwest with drought, and we're seeing longer, more intense wildfire seasons, as well as increased heat waves that threaten the health of New Mexico's families. We've seen rising heat and climate impacts, including wildfires that cause air pollution from something that's happening 400 miles away. This past summer, the wildfires burning in Arizona put Albuquerque on a public health alert as smoke and ozone particulates traveled hundreds of miles. My daughter, on her first day of summer camp, she's 8, she suffered from heat stroke as we saw this heat wave come through Albuquerque and the Southwest. On the 3rd day, we had to explain that she couldn't play outside because the local air quality officials said the air was unhealthy due to high smoke and ozone, and our skies were so thick with particulate matter you couldn't even see the Sandia Mountains. I'm sure everybody remembers those days. For children with asthma, these conditions can be life-threatening. While even healthy kids are being asked to spend more of the year inside because our air is just simply too dangerous to breathe. We have to make a change now before this becomes the new normal. We cannot address the climate crisis without moving decisively to zero pollution vehicles. The pollution from cars not only causes climate change, but it also degrades our air quality and threatens our health. We need action at every level. Our elected officials must demand the EPA set strongest possible federal clean car standards, and New Mexico must meet the climate challenge by including clean car standards in our ambitious climate goals. I'd now like to introduce Alana Bernstein, Deputy Director of Environmental Health for the City of Albuquerque.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. So once again, I'm Alana Bernstein, Deputy Director of the Environmental Health Department at the City of Albuquerque, which means I'm responsible for air quality in Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. Reducing ground level ozone pollution is a priority for the city, as Bernalillo County's levels are high and climbing. We know that cars are a significant source of these ozone forming pollutants, which can cause coughing, throat irritation, and pain, especially for sensitive populations. Motor vehicles are also the largest single source of hazardous air pollutants locally. Mayor Tim Keller strongly supports the development of clean car standards to reduce these toxic ground level ozone and greenhouse gas emissions to protect public health. And we're excited to be working with the New Mexico Environment Department to adopt clean car rules. For the past several months, the city and NMED have held several stakeholder meetings to explain the draft rule and seek feedback. These clean car rules will make significant strides to reduce vehicle emissions by requiring auto dealers to sell a certain percentage of low emission and zero emission passenger vehicles. If adopted, by 2030, these rules will contribute to reducing about 280 tons of smog-forming air pollutants. And the good news is that 67% of the vehicles on our local roads already meet the current California motor vehicle tailpipe emission standards. So officially adopting the California emission standards will not only increase this percentage, but further reduce emissions. There's currently a draft of the Clean Car Standard rules open for public comment until 5 p.m. today. To have your voice heard, visit NMED's website to comment. That's env.nm.gov. And the public will have more opportunities in the new year to make comments through the formal rulemaking process. We're so grateful to our partnership with NMED and for their leadership in drafting and adopting the clean car standards, as they're needed to protect the health of people living in the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County area. Thank you. I'll turn it back to Kevin for questions.
Thank you, Mara, and thank you to all of our speakers. That's the end of the formal remarks portion of our event. We now have a few minutes for questions related to today's event. For members of the media, if you have a question, you can use the raise your hand function to indicate a question, or you can also type that question into the chat box. I can work through the question requests one at a time. I'll be able to unmute your line and you can ask the speaker your question. So please use the chat function or the raise your hand function if you have a question for our speakers. Again, for members of the media, please feel free to use the chat function or the raise your hand function if you have a question for our panelists.
Kevin, if I could just add, as we're waiting for questions to come in, you know, I think it was so important what was noted today. We got a good perspective of what clean air can really mean for our communities, especially for New Mexico, having also the largest methane cloud. And really what steps locally we're taking for even Albuquerque having passed our zero fares through transit, having more folks take our city transit and our buses for the next year to actually try to alleviate cars being on the road. But it's clearly not enough. And that's why it's so important. And I'm very grateful to be part of this panel, hearing from our Deputy Director of Environmental Health, hearing from a more local perspective and how it impacts our communities and our kids and our future, and really thinking about what this could mean for our future. So I just want to thank really this panel for sharing your perspective, and for also the community advocate groups that continue to push not just our city to be better, our state, but also our nation. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
I'd also like to add to that, that we are very lucky in New Mexico to have a delegation at the federal level who really is looking at clean cars and how to transition our economy. So Senators Heinrich and Lujan were very supportive of the infrastructure bill that just passed, which included a lot of funding that will help us to electrify New Mexico. And right now on the floor, they are voting on the Build Back Better Act, where Leisure Fernandez and Representative Stansbury have both supported the climate portions of that, which include a lot of money for exactly what we're talking about. So New Mexico has a lot of support on a lot of levels, and we're very appreciative of that.
Thank you, Solera.
I also would like to add something, having been born and raised in New Mexico and living here my entire life. I think it's really important that we prioritize our air quality. And also, you know, we're very blessed to have almost 365 days of sun, which is unusual. And, you know, we're very blessed to have quality solar as well and wind power. So I just want to mention that, you know, we're very supportive of our federal delegation and the direction that they are also challenged now to take. And I hope that they will listen to this podcast today and understand that at the local level, we are very supportive of their efforts.
Thank you, Councilor. Okay, I want to thank all of our speakers today for participating in this event. I once again want to thank Moms Clean Air Force for hosting the event and live streaming it on their Facebook page. We will have a recording of this event available that will go out in the press release within about an hour of wrapping up here. Please, for members of the media, if you have any questions or would like to request a one-on-one interview with our speakers, please follow up with contact information listed on the press release and media advisory. Thank you again for the strong support for the Clean Car Standards, and have a terrific day.